From rigged games to a world champion supposedly having bought his Grandmaster title, norm tournaments have come under a lot of scrutiny throughout the years. It's no secret that Fide's format is very flawed and easy to exploit, as many players have criticized it. But what exactly is going on in these tournaments? If you're new to chess, titles are awarded by Fide, the governing body of chess, to the best players in the world for their rank and play. They come in various forms, each is better than the previous one. Candidates Master to Fide Master to International Master to Grandmaster, and the same for the women titles. These titles are seen as a great honor in the chess community, and an ultimate goal for many. They can help get jobs, sponsorships, and boost the player within the chess ecosystem. So what do players have to do to achieve it, you may be asking yourself? To begin, you need to play over-the-board tournaments governed by Fide. According to these performances, you will receive a rating. All titles require a certain rating to achieve it. For Grandmaster, it's 2500, 2400 for International Master, and 2300 for Fide Master. Additionally to these ratings, players need to accomplish something called norms. Norms in chess are a high performance level in a chess tournament. This is measured by something called performance rating. It uses your games played, results, and ELO of your opponents to give you a score in a tournament. Over 9 games, you need to receive a performance rating of 2600 in a tournament with 3 Grandmasters from 3 different countries. There are also other accomplishments in tournaments you can win and automatically be granted these titles, but we won't be looking at that today. To receive a title, a player needs to get 3 norms. Understandably, this system is very flawed and can allow for easy manipulation and flawed norms. People have found multiple ways to exploit this, notably in Eastern Europe countries like Hungary, Ukraine, or Serbia, and many more are well known for hosting tournaments that are often rigged or made easier to achieve norms. These are called norm factories. These so-called norm factories often happen to be in closed round-robin tournaments where there are 9 rounds and 10 players, meaning everybody plays each other and matchups are predictable and easy to rig. One of the most important testimonies to this is Snoo Chocolate 7022's post on the chess subreddit. It is a post written by an anonymous international master describing his experience in a shady Eastern Europe tournament. He was a young player looking to complete his last international master norm, and he entered a tournament. Halfway through the tournament, he noticed some games weren't played at the time of the rounds and were just counted as draws. This would end up foreshadowing the future, and before round 6, this would happen. Since this is pivotal, I'll take it from his words.
A Russian GM, who I had briefly talked with and emailed with before the tournament, knocked on my hotel room door. As I opened the door, the large man walked straight into my room. "Your opponent tomorrow. His parents are very sick in the hospital and he needs money. If you pay €150, you will win the game, and then you can draw the rest and you're an IM." This conversation lasted for around 10-15 minutes in my hotel room, and I would say things like, "I don't have any money," while sitting on my bed, while he would say, "But everyone is doing it. For example, GMX and GMY and GMZ from your country does it." I happened to know these players quite well personally and knew that this claim were completely unfounded. Finally, he left my room and I locked my door, and I would keep it completely locked for the rest of the tournament.
This game would ultimately end in a draw. The next round, it would get even more complicated.
I then did something I'm not proud of. Having realized what kind of tournament it is, I realized that a quick draw is a good result and then have 2 good chances to play for a win. However, the game started early in the morning, and as a sleepy teenager, I valued sleep over anything, so I emailed the arbiter the night before the game and offered a draw. He accepted immediately, and I slept. I am, and was, fully aware that this is cheating. This is no doubt match fixing, but at that point I didn't care. I was tired of this hellhole, the shady people, feeling unsafe, and god damn it, I just wanted to get my sleep, get my norm, and get out of there. Rather amusingly, the games from the tournament are published in the databases, and in this game, the arbiter simply entered a random 10-move opening variation. I did not play those moves, and neither did he.
This last piece of information is crucial as it can be used as a sign to flag out fixed matches. Regardless, this insight gives us a better view into what's really happening inside these so-called norm factories. With just a bit of research, you can easily find games that follow this similar pattern of a simple 10-ish move opening followed by a draw. For me, it took 10 minutes of research through Eastern Europe tournaments to find a few games following this pattern. If this is an indicator to what's secretly going on behind the scenes, there's a huge problem going on in the chess world. In a study by Chess Essentials and Benjamin Porthald, where they examined 13 round-robin tournaments across the world and 2 open/Swiss-style tournaments, they found that the average Swiss tournament game length is 30 to 40 moves, while the round-robin ones have either an average of 10 to 15 moves or 30 to 40. This spike signifies a huge increase in early draws, which could be a big indicator of fixed matches. They, however, pointed out that it is not all tournaments, as the ones in Eastern Europe had a much bigger, almost unbelievable spike of 10 to 50 move games. This problem is even bigger than you think, and it's not just small players. The race to become the youngest Grandmaster ever is an everlasting one, and players will do anything to become it. In 2003, Sergey Karjakin was missing just one norm to become the youngest Grandmaster, so he entered a tournament in Crimea to achieve this feat. And in a chess industry where money is sometimes scarce, becoming the youngest Grandmaster would almost guarantee financial freedom. And Karjakin and his team were ready to do anything. In a testimony released by the New York Times, it reads this:
I'll be honest to the end. In one of the tournaments where Sergey Karjakin was supposed to fulfill the Grandmaster's norm, in the last round he played with a girl who had only half a point. He needed a win, but he drew it. His father and coach were urgently looking for someone to buy half a point from. Nobody agreed for any money. This is the question of the possibility of buying Glass's points. Then they turned to me. Since by the last round I had exceeded the Grandmaster's norm, I agreed to give up this half point, by no means for money, in order for Karjakin to become the youngest Grandmaster. And while the tournament was closing, we played the second game. The first ended in a draw, practically in blitz.
This is the testimony of Vasily Malinin. He agreed to replay his game against Karjakin at the Sudak tournament after Karjakin unexpectedly lost points in a game. This replay single-handedly allowed Karjakin to receive his final norm for Grandmaster. Malinin unfortunately passed away in 2020, before this article was even released. Therefore, Karjakin could easily deny the allegations, and we might never know what truly happened that day in Crimea. To this day, many people speculate on whether this was achieved fairly or not. But regardless, he was still a strong player at the time and probably would have not needed this if he did not lose an unexpected game beforehand. In 2021, Abhimanyu Mishra surpassed Karjakin to become the youngest Grandmaster, but this record came under heavy scrutiny. In the fall of 2020, he played 5 norm tournaments in North Carolina and did not receive a single norm. By desperation, him and his dad followed that up by traveling to Budapest and playing 8 straight norm tournaments over there against a lot of the same opponents. The average rating of his opponents in Budapest was 50 points lower than in North Carolina. In response to this, World Chess Championship runner-up Jan Nepomniachtchi then followed this up by suggesting different rules to achieve the Grandmaster title in a tweet. Another professional player made the comparison between their norm games, and you can see a clear difference in rating between them. So it's not really a secret in the elite chess circles that becoming Grandmaster and fixed games are loosening up from year to year. In fact, Abhimanyu's dad paid more than $270,000 for his son to earn the title. And this is partly so because norm factories often have high entry fees, which goes to organizers who then pay Grandmasters to show up and help. In these tournaments, he also held the advantage of playing the same Grandmasters over and over again to learn their playstyles better. And some of these matches even had suspicious activity. For example, Manu played against the Hungarian Grandmaster Gabor Nagy in 6 of the 8 tournaments, with one draw happening in 6 moves and another one happening in 13 moves. A clear sign as mentioned earlier. Abhimanyu's dad said that his son achieved the title legitimately and that anyone suggesting otherwise is talking about utter nonsense. But many pros would beg to differ with that. Even content creators are affected by this. Nemo is one of the biggest chess creators in the scene with over 120,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 300,000 on Twitch. She did achieve the title of Women Grandmaster in 2017 at the age of 17 in Eastern Europe, but many doubt the legitimacy of this. Although there is a lack of definitive proof, and this is all just speculation, a Reddit post brought up an interesting point. Throughout her norm games, Nemo, also referred as Zoo, has pretty suspicious games.
I am Marhalov and Zhou played 5 times in tournaments in 2015 and 2016. Zhou won every single game within 32 moves. All of her other wins against IMs in those tournaments also were over within 35 moves.
Basically saying that Nemo was playing Unreal versus players much better than her, but performing normally versus regular or lesser rated players. Some of the moves in these games just look shady in general. Look at this. Any normal player, let alone an international master, would defend their pawn on d6 here. Instead, Nemo's opponent blunders it, then follows it up by blundering an easy rook skewer tactic 2 moves later. Would an international master really do this? So with all this controversy, what do you think Fide is doing? Well, in 2021, in response to Abhimanyu becoming the youngest Grandmaster, Fide's qualification commission pitched ideas to Fide representatives. They proposed that at least one norm needed to be performed in a Swiss-style tournament with a minimum of 40 players, making it much harder to rig, and every game must submit a PGN in order to be able to analyze for irregularities. And it passed. This probably will not completely eradicate this kind of suspicious play, but is definitely a step in the right direction. Fide seems to just be turning a blind eye to this cheating. In fact, Peter Hein Nielsen admitted to accepting a prearranged draw with Emil Sutovsky to be joint winners of a cup 20 years ago. Since then, Sutovsky became a Director General of Fide in 2018, and 2022 got promoted to CEO. So clearly they must be aware of match fixing and turning a blind eye if the CEO allegedly previously agreed to a prearranged draw. Whether he knows about the norm factories is still undetermined, but ultimately removing prearranged draws is practically impossible to do so, as you cannot prove it. But norm factories, on the other hand, are very preventable. Vice President of Fide and former player Nigel Short is attempting to reform the system, but the huge amount of questionable titles is making it already difficult. He says, quote, "The horse is bolted. You cannot close the stable door. The best thing you can do is abolish the title altogether." A pretty bold suggestion for the future of chess, but for now, cheating runs rampant, but who knows what'll happen. Will this die down, or will Fide finally be able to kill it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and like the video if you enjoyed.